Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Expendable Show. I'm your host, the Expendable. Boy, I'm gonna tell you what. It's freaking 75 degrees out here in Atlanta. Sun's shining. It's beautiful. Not a cloud in the sky. What a great day. What a great day. It's been a great week. I mean, it's a busy week for me, but it's been a great week weather-wise here. I'm just loving it. I'm loving it. Now, you can always tell when it's springtime around here in Atlanta because they have like this tradition, and I think I might be the only one who's noticed it. But you can always tell when it's almost springtime when you see mattresses on the side of the freeways. I've seen 6 of them in like the last 3 weeks, so I knew spring was coming because the mattresses are everywhere. And I saw a couch propped up on the side of I-75 on the side of a tree, like straight up and down. So when you start seeing stuff like that, you know it's springtime. I don't know why it's like that. You don't see mattresses in the wintertime. You don't see them in the fall. You don't see them like late in the summer. You just see them like in the springtime. Mattresses everywhere. Oh, my dad just told me he's in Ohio. So he said it's 46 degrees. I feel bad for you. I'm so glad I'm not cold. It's so nice. I was out all weekend. I was outside doing yard work and stuff. It was beautiful. And I'm going to do the same thing this weekend. Oh, okay, Queen. You're going to bring up the yellow pollen. Yes, it's everywhere. I can't keep my car clean for nothing. Every time I go to the car wash and then I let it sit somewhere, I got yellow pollen everywhere. You already know. You already know. So, if you like my show, like, subscribe, and ding the bell. And go buy my book, The Swiss Effect. I put a lot of time into it. It was a lot of fun. And people hate me for it. So that's exciting. Yeah. I'll tell you what, you almost have to budget. The Queen said Mr. is her best friend down here. So I agree with you. You almost have to budget for car washes in your monthly budget here, especially in the springtime, because you go from the yellow pollen and then you go to the brown pollen. And then it's just like a never-ending cycle all spring with pollen. It's sick. And up in Ohio, so in Ohio, where I'm from, it's like Northwest Ohio, like in between Toledo and Dayton. You don't see pollen like this. You don't see it. And it's crazy. And I'm still not used to it. Like I'll walk outside. I'll be at work all day and I'll walk outside. And as soon as I look at the yellow pollen, I start sneezing. It's like instantly. But let's get some updates on some of the numbers this week. We have the Canadian Prime Minister race. Pierre Poilievre, the French guy, the French conservative who's not doing very good. So, I mean, I don't want to say he's not doing good. He's kind of hovering at that 37% margin there. But Carney, who is the acting, what I would call the acting prime minister since Justin Trudeau went back to his mama. But Carney's starting to gain some traction and gain ground. Pierre was up by 10 points a few weeks ago, and now Carney's pulled ahead about 2 points. He's at 39.6. So maybe I'm hoping that their polls are just wrong because we know how Canada is. So they haven't updated Zelensky's approval rating in several weeks now, but last that they updated, he was at 72%. I'll bet you he's down now because he's not getting these ceasefire deals done. Trump's approval rating has gone up another 0.1%, so he's at 47.9%, which is higher than I think he ever was in his first term. So he's still holding some good ground there. So I'm happy about that. The Democrats' approval rating still 20. It just depends on what you look at. They're 27%, 28%. They're right around in there. Still, it's trash. They're not doing anything to try to fix it, which is it's crazy. It's almost like they say, "Oh, we're not going to look at the polls ever." Well, your constituency doesn't even agree with you anymore. So if 50% of the country is Democrat, 23% of your constituents are not happy with you. I would probably try to do some course correcting or something other than the same old, same old. And we'll get into some of that same old here in a little bit. So more statistics. So we've got eggs. The price of eggs hasn't really changed all that much, although egg prices are down 59% from where they were after the liberals ordered all the chickens to get killed. Look at this. I've got two celebrities in the house. I got the TikTok queen, and I got Jenny Lynn, the most famous San Francisco talk show host ever. Getting wiser. That's right. We're going to talk about a lot of some really wise stuff today. The gas prices. So Biden's average for 2024 was $3.30 a gallon. Today we're at $3.14 is the national average. So Trump is ahead of that, ahead of the pace there, which is a good sign. We still have a ways to go on Trump's. He's got the oil prices. He hasn't even really focused on it too much yet. And I think that time's coming. He's just got all these other fires of more pressing things to deal with right now. But we will start to see, he's got to get this trade thing with Canada taken care of too. And that's going to affect the oil prices in our way. So gas prices are down. Mortgage rates, they went up just a little tick this week, but we'll see how it goes. I expect the mortgage rates to end up by the time that the year ends, we'll be down into like the 5% range. The Dow index has gone up 1,000 points in the last couple weeks. So everybody who's panicking because Trump is destroying the stock market. This is why most stock experts, my dad told me this for years, and I don't ever listen to him on it, but most financial experts will tell you, don't look at your 401k. And there's a reason why. Because if you continually look at your 401k all the time and you see it go up and down and up and down, you're gonna give yourself an anxiety attack. Just let that money go in there, and by the time you're ready to retire, about 60 years old, then start looking at it, and then you'll be able to kind of see where you're at. I'm not saying you can't look at it. I'm a kind of like weird about it. I look at it all the time, but your 401k is going to be fine. We hit record highs. I think December was the record high. And, we're down from there a little bit, but we're still above what we were at the beginning of the Biden administration. So we're doing okay. Our stock market's just fine. So let's talk about the Russia and U.S. phone call that happened the other day and some of the other things that have transpired out of that. So there is progress being made. I don't know how excited we need to get about that progress because we know that situation over there is going to be wishy-washy between Russia and Ukraine. I can't really, say either one of them is really going to be legit on any deal. But so Russia and Ukraine on Tuesday agreed to a ceasefire in the Black Sea. So they're going to start allowing goods to move through the Black Sea, and that's important. We need to be able to freely move goods in and out of the Black Sea without having to worry about Russia or Ukraine bombing something. So basically, the United States and Russia have agreed to ensure safe navigation, eliminate the use of force, and prevent the use of commercial vessels for military purposes in the Black Sea. That came from the White House. And that's true. This needs to happen. I'm glad this happened. I'm glad they agreed to it. However, there's some news today about that. We'll talk about that at the end of this segment. Though the White House also emphasized that all movement by Russia of its military vessels outside of the eastern part of the Black Sea will constitute a violation of the spirit of this agreement and will be regarded as a violation of the commitment to ensure safe navigation of the Black Sea and threat to the national security of Ukraine. So that's important because that's Trump coming out and saying, look, here's the ground rules and here's what's going to make me mad. If Russia, if you do this, I'm going to get mad. And now you have a problem with me. I'm trying to work with you, but if you're not going to work with me, we're going to have a problem. And it's the same going to go with the Ukraine too. So you're going to see this going both ways. Ukraine will have full right to exercise the right to self-defense if Russia violates these terms. The Kremlin also reportedly suggested on Tuesday it may not be willing to fully enforce the ceasefire until it is admitted back into the SWIFT international banking system. So that was one of the sanctions that Russia received for invading Ukraine. And it's a big deal. This Russia lost a little bit of money when they basically were blocked from being able to get loans and move money, and it hurt them. They want that back because they need to be able to utilize the American dollar in certain markets so they can maneuver around the world and buy and sell their goods and get back into the global market. So according to a report by Reuters, the Kremlin said a Black Sea ceasefire will only be implemented with the removal of Western sanctions on Russia's Bank, which reportedly serves that's part of their agriculture banking, and it links them into the international world, which we know Russia is a big wheat producer. They produce a lot of things. They produce a lot of coal. They produce a lot of useful things that the world does use. So we have that. Now, since this has come out, everybody was sitting there going, okay, well, do we have a ceasefire in place? Well, we found out this morning that it's not in place yet. Russia bombed the crap out of a bunch of stuff just to kind of, I believe they did it to put some pressure on Ukraine and the United States, saying, hey, you guys need to give me my demands, and we'll get into the demands here in a second. Give me my demands or we don't have a ceasefire. So that's that. Putin's playing the game, and he thinks he's got the cards. So we'll see what Trump comes up with, if he can get Zelensky to agree to some of these terms. So the White House released the United States will help restore Russia's access to the world market for agriculture and fertilizer exports, low maritime insurance costs, and enhance access to ports and payment systems for such transactions. So it does sound like President Trump is going to be willing to participate in getting Russia back into the market. However, some of the problem is Europe. So Europe also has some sanctions, and they basically run the SWIFT system. So SWIFT is overseen by the central banks of the G10, which includes Belgium, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Netherlands, Sweden, my most hated country, Switzerland, and my other most hated country, the UK. And we're involved in that as well. So the European Central Bank will oversees like the National Bank of Belgium, all that. So they're all kind of linked together, and they've sanctioned Russia. So there's more players involved than the United States just saying, yep, here you go, Russia. You get what you want. Now let's do the ceasefire. Now Trump has to get with some of these European countries and get them on board with the ceasefire. So we'll see how that plays out to see if Europe is really about having a ceasefire, which I have my doubts. Reuters further reported that the Kremlin demanded that sanctions on food and fertilizer exports and shipments, insurance firms, as well as restrictions on vessels and trade finance operations need to be lifted. So we'll see. So that covers the Russia situation right now. I wish they would end it because I'd like to talk about other stuff other than Russia and Ukraine all the time. But that's the major things that happen. However, I have another fun one. So for those of you who pay attention, I'm on the Republic a lot as a political correspondent and senior journalist, blah, blah, blah. And so I do follow a lot of what happens in India. So like I said on my last show, India has raided George Soros's facilities in India and anybody that is in bed with Soros. So I've been talking to my correspondences over there, and they are keeping me updated on these things, as this information does not make our mainstream media because they're lame. But this is important to me because I want to see George Soros go to prison. So they are finding that George Soros received $260 $1 billion from USAID. That's what India traced back. And they use this money to spread chaos, change governments and personal gain in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Ukraine, Syria, Iran, Pakistan, India, UK, and US. So they're starting to put this puzzle together of what George Soros is doing with all this money. He's causing problems, trying to manipulate elections, and he's trying to keep division, keep sowing division in countries. This is what this guy does. He's notorious for it. I covered it in my book, my first book, From the Mouth. I did a whole chapter on George Soros, and I followed all his money around. And he not only funds Israel, but he also funds the Palestinians. He basically arms both sides of the fence so they'll keep fighting each other because it meets his agenda, his Open Society Foundation agenda. So he's somebody that I keep a very close eye on, as a lot of Americans do. And we'll see what develops out of that. Hopefully, we haven't seen any charges or anything come out of India or any statements. All I know is that so far they have raided his facilities, and we'll see what comes out of that. So I hate to do this, but I'm going to have to talk about the national security issue that happened in the last few days. So I'm going to address it because I do promise to be fair. And I know some of my liberal friends are going to go, all you do is cheerlead for Trump all the time. Well, because I like Trump, that's why. But I am going to bring this up because I do want them to deal with this differently. So just to go through the chain of events for people who are living in a cave. So President Trump revealed that a staffer with National Security Advisor Mike Waltz's office, included the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, in a Signal group chat with senior Trump officials who were discussing plans for an upcoming strike on Houthi rebels in Yemen. Okay, so Trump's come out and said, yes, this happened. He said it was one of Michael's people, which is Michael Waltz, on the phone. A staffer had his number on there in a phone interview with Trump with NBC. The editor-in-chief was The Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg. So for those of you who don't know, this dude's been a thorn in Trump's side for a long, long time. He is, in my opinion, he's a propaganda spreader. In my opinion, he is a very scumful. I'm going to create a word today. He's very scumful. He's a scumful reporter. He's full of scum. There you go. Add that to the dictionary. Scumful. We can put a picture of Jeffrey Goldberg there. So I'm still unsure as to how this happened. They're kind of describing this as a you know how you share contacts on an iPhone and you basically just paste it over, or however you do it. I don't do it very much, so I don't remember. I always got to relearn how to do it every time I do it. But basically, they're saying that Jeffrey Goldblum's name was attached to a contact that was in somebody else's contacts for somebody that Trump did want in on that call that never got in the call because it ended up being Jeffrey Goldberg in the call. I don't know. I'm not sure. I can't say one way or the other. We're going to have to wait and see if they disclose more information. Trump also went on to say that Goldberg's inclusion in the group had no impact on the strikes in Yemen. So Goldberg did wait before he published the article, and he detailed how he was added to the Signal group on March 11th, and he just stayed quiet, and so no one would notice him in the chat. It included high-profile government officials, of course. Trump is not going to sanction Waltz. He says he's a good man, and Michael learned his lesson. And Michael Waltz has come out in interviews. He was on Laura Ingraham, and he said, "Look, I made a mistake. I was responsible for putting that group together, and I screwed up." So we're at least seeing self-accountability. Trump's acknowledging that Mike Waltz screwed up, but he's also showing forgiveness. Yes, the Democrats are going to jump all over this and say, well, these guys are just going to get away with all kinds of stuff. There's no accountability. But who do they get to talk about accountability? We had all these blunders for the last 4 years, and Biden didn't fire a single person for 4 years. So I don't want to hear it. You have no leg to stand on right now with this. Nobody got fired over 13 soldiers dying in an unnecessary extraction out of Afghanistan. But you want to talk about this. It makes no sense. And I don't hold any respect for any Democrat that is going to complain about this, but not complain about their own administration's complete failure to accept responsibility for anything. Joe Biden always say, oh, the buck stops with me. But then we know that he would never accept responsibility. So where did the buck stop? I don't know. It went right past you, Joe. You was sleeping. So Trump did defend Waltz, and he's not going to fire him. Trump said he's not getting fired, that he made a mistake. There was nothing important in the Signal text thread. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, who's probably one of my favorite press secretaries ever, she said in most social media posts that no war plans were discussed in the group chat, no classified materials sent to the thread. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this briefly. Trump's administration is trying to downplay this a little bit. I think it is a little bit more serious than what he's portraying. I think this is a major mistake. Do I think it's a career-ending mistake? No. Like I said, the last 4 years we've seen major, complete, neglectful stupidity, borderline genocidal, treasonous. We've seen it all out of the Biden administration. So it kind of lowers the bar for Trump a little bit. So I don't like it. I would like for them to stop using apps altogether when they talk about anything that has anything to do with the government. They need to do this all like they did it back in the old days and get in situation rooms and map these things out behind closed doors with only the most secure people. That way you don't have to worry about tech issues. You don't have to worry about these crazy lunatics out there hacking into stuff, because if they can hack into our CIA databases, they can hack into these conversations. So we need to get back and do things the old-fashioned way. Yes, I know it's a pain in the ass, but it's a necessary pain in the ass to maintain our national security. So I'm going to say that Trump, I believe that you are wrong here. And I would prefer that you handle things a little bit better, tighten it up in there, because every tiny little mistake that you make, the liberal snakes are going to slither all over you. So I'm willing to get past it. It ended up being a successful operation. Goldberg's trying to win some kind of spy award or something. I don't know. Dude hasn't shut up since he released it. So here's what I want to talk about, the big one today. Jasmine Crockett. Has she had the last 7 days for Jasmine Crockett? She's been almost a headline every day for something different. She's on a roll. In my opinion, I saw a meme today and it said, I'm a Republican, but give Jasmine Crockett the microphone every day. We'll never lose another election. And they're right. He is a PR disaster. So first, she makes this video and saying that she wants to take down Elon Musk for her birthday. For one, I don't think that's very smart to be attacking someone who's in the private sector, their business and their livelihood. I think as a congresswoman, that's something you probably should not touch on. Then she tells viewers that Ted Cruz needs knocked over the head, like hard. So, yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if people try to assault Ted Cruz. It seems to be the liberal thing. They throw these like borderline violent statements out there. Then they go, that's not what I meant. I can't help it that somebody, just like when Bernie Sanders got, who was it? Steve Scalise. Bernie Sanders got Steve Scalise shot and nothing happened out of it. Like Bernie Sanders, your crazy lunatics that you gaslight all day, went and shot another congressman, and you get to say, "Oh, I didn't want that to happen." Bro, that's bullshit. You did want that to happen, and it happened. So here's some statements I pulled out of the media today. Progressive Rep Jasmine Crockett from Texas mocked the disabled, wheelchair-bound Republican governor Greg Abbott, calling him Governor Hot Wheels, during a pro-LGBTQ benefit dinner this weekend that everybody clapped for. So the next time the LGBTQ community needs some sympathy, I'm going to probably, because I do stick up for that community a little bit, because they're human beings, because not all of them are pro-trans. So I try to not look at them all into one category, because I don't think that's fair. But I do think that next time you guys go crying about something, I'm going to go, oh, you remember Hot Wheels when you clap for the disabled people? I think that was a dirty thing. And then, of course, Jasmine Crockett came out and said, that's not what I meant. How was I supposed to know he was in a wheelchair? She didn't say that, but, you know, that's how she played it off. Like, oh, that's not what I meant. Bro, he's in a wheelchair and you called him Hot Wheels. Nice try. Wrong guy. So Senator Mark Wayne Mullen from Oklahoma, he made a statement on this and said, FYI to the new spokeswoman for the Democrat Party, Greg Abbott became paralyzed after a huge oak tree fell on him, crushing his spine. But sure, go with Hot Wheels. She should say whatever. I feel like Jasmine Crockett should be allowed to say whatever she wants. Whatever she feels like saying. I don't care how offensive it is. Let her say it. Let the American people judge Jasmine Crockett. Let her have a mic. She should just walk around with a microphone. Also, Jasmine Crockett assaulted a journalist heading to session, walking in the hallways of session. And he was just asking questions. And then she lunged out at him and tried to knock his phone out and ended up hitting him on the hand. So, yeah, Jasmine Crockett's had a rough week. So the NRCC posted on X, and they said recent polling shows Crazy Crockett, that's what they called her, Crazy Crockett. Crazy Crockett as one of the leaders of the Democrat Party. This is who they are now. Queen, I forget what you was calling Jasmine Crockett, but it was funnier than Crazy Crockett. Conservative women's sports activist Riley Gaines, who defeated the transgenders in court, of course. She chimed in saying, Democrats, please keep giving Jasmine Crockett so this is the second time I've heard this. Please keep giving Jasmine Crockett the microphone. We'll never lose an election. Everybody's saying that. Let Jasmine Crockett speak. Just let her do her thing. She's gonna walk herself right out of office. On Sunday, Attorney General Pam Bondi issued a stark warning to Crockett, telling her to tread carefully or face possible legal repercussions. And Jasmine Crockett responded to Pam Bondi and said, if you're not going to indict me, shut the fuck up. So she said, just let her talk. Just let her talk. And this was for her comments where she said she was advocating for somebody to punch Ted Cruz. So in response to the question of how Democrats can win elections, specifically in the red states of Texas, Crockett said, I think you have to punch. I think you're okay with punching. She's like just talking violently all the time, which is fine. Let her talk. Charlie Kirk, he said this woman is trash. And it's, you know what? And it's really hard to get Charlie Kirk to say like vile things about people. So he must have been really, really upset to say that. MAGA influencer Laura Loomer. Laura Loomer, I'm going to throw this out here. I like Laura Loomer. She's entertaining, but am I going to bet my chips on Laura Loomer? No. She's alleging that Jasmine Crockett physically attacked and assaulted one of her reporters in the Capitol building. So the guy who got assaulted was one of Laura Loomer's people, which it doesn't surprise me. If anybody in Congress was going to assault a reporter, I'll guarantee you it would be one of Laura Loomer's people. They hate her. A video posted by Loomer on X actually shows the incident. They got it on video, and it is Jasmine Crockett did aggressively lunge at this reporter. So that's something that I think she's going to be facing. She needs to get maybe a simple assault for that. Where are we at here? Okay. So Loomer also wrote, it's clear elected Democrats have embraced violence against Trump supporters and members of the independent media, even in the halls of Congress. So this isn't nothing we didn't know, though. And I feel like that if Trump wants to really avoid some craziness in the future, we know what they did before. And Trump never went after them. He never held them accountable. I think he has to do it this time, because this is never going to stop until you start giving these congressional people criminal records. It's just something that if you get a couple of them, you're probably going to get them to stop doing it, because most of these people ain't trying to go to jail, especially if they get involved in a situation, they let their emotions take over and they're going to get into more trouble than what they generally would have. So Laura Loomer has instructed her cameraman, his last name's Downs, to file a report with the Capitol Police that he should probably also get a tetanus. Brace yourselves. She said that he should also get a tetanus shot or get examined for rabies. She said, at Jasmine for US is a rabid animal. It's hard not to laugh, because Laura Loomer is another one of those people that just says what's on her mind, which is why she doesn't win elections. She has no filter. I mean, I'll give it to her. So Marjorie Taylor Greene at least has more of a filter than Laura Loomer. It's funny. She's entertaining. Downs, for his part, said in a self-cam video recorded on the Capitol lawn, it's disgusting that a member of Congress, much less a well-known member of Congress like Jasmine Crockett, chose to assault me after I asked her if she would condemn violence in Tesla showrooms. So she wouldn't condemn violence and then assaulted a cameraman. You can't make it up. This is how they roll. This is how the left rolls. I mean, they can't outsmart us, so they just assault us, even though we're not really worried. Like, I've never really seen a real conservative get assaulted really good where they're fearing for their life from a liberal. So Crockett did speak out after the incident, writing on X that an individual attempted to invade my personal safety just to get a soundbite. And then she thanked Republican Rep Tim Burchett, who was with her at the time, for putting himself between me and the individual to ensure I made it to committee. In a time of division, he put respect and safety first, and I appreciate it. No apology for the assault to the reporter, but she thanked Tim Burchett because she needed somebody to have her back. Tim Burchett ain't going to get involved in that. If you watch the video, he was just walking with her and talking with her. He wasn't paying no attention to that reporter, just like Jasmine Crockett should have done. She should have just ignored the reporter. And then Tim Burchett kind of walks behind the reporter and went a different direction. And that's when as soon as he got out of the way, Jasmine Crockett lunged out at him. So it's an assault. She needs to at least have to pay a fine for that and be put on. I think she should be put on house arrest and make her come to session with the house arrest ankle monitor. That's what I want to see. I want to see her ankle monitor. So they're getting out of hand. You're seeing the violence ramp up. The Teslas are getting burnt. They're shooting stuff. They're assaulting people. Like I'm looking at a headline right now. Trans attacker smashes students with a bike lock. Hit somebody with a bike lock. I don't know if you've ever watched prison movies, but if you hit someone with a lock that's inside of a sock, you will split somebody's head open. Like peel. You will peel it open. So that is a very, very dangerous felony that this person just committed. And then you had some other radical left loony started flipping a bunch of tables over at some conservative event. There's a reason why they're not the conservatives are backing out of their town halls, because Chuck Schumer gets on TV the other day and says, we're trying to get as many of these people to these town halls as possible because they want to cause problems, and they're going to. So I am already booked to go to the surf and turf for Georgia rep Mike Collins, and because I have some things I want to discuss with him and his staffers. However, I expect there to be an amount of stupidity there. I've been watching the feed on Facebook of his event that he posted, and I'm seeing it all over in there that there's going to be all kinds of problems that are going to happen there. So I'm going to be there, and hopefully the liberals cowered out. But I'm encouraging as many conservatives to go in support of Mike Collins as possible, because they do plan on sending a large group of people there. So, yeah, that could be a tricky situation. So the violence is going to go up just like they did in the first term. They wanted to create chaos and then go, look, Trump being president's chaotic. Okay, well, y'all bought the chaos, and then you let everybody out, and then you allowed them to have autonomous areas where they could just not have law. You know how many crimes got committed in that autonomous area? You know how many rapes happened in that autonomous area? That was a horrible situation that nobody on the West Coast wanted to deal with. They just let it happen and turn their backs. That's pathetic. But that is all I've got for the show today. I know it was it's a little kind of a short show, but I have I may be doing a special interview this week with some new developments have come up in the Suchir Balaji from what I'm calling a murder case. Spoiler alert, it turns out there was a second bullet found in the radiology report. So I'm going to try to get his mom and dad on here to talk about that. They've already asked if they could. So I'm going to schedule that out, and we'll talk about the new evidence from the radiology report, and then the shocking information from the toxicology report. We'll get into it when I have the interview. So everybody tune in for that. I'm going to try to get it either tomorrow or Friday. So I'll let everybody know when that's going to be. And I'm going to put some pressure on some people that I know to try to get the FBI involved. We can't get the FBI involved in San Francisco. I've already tried. His parents have tried. They are not going to do anything. There's too much corruption in San Francisco for that to happen. So we're going to go around San Francisco and try to go up the ladder a little bit. But everybody tune in. And thanks for joining me, Queen, Jenny Lynn. I know my dad's up in there, and anybody else who didn't jump in the chats. Everybody be safe, and I'm out. Peace.